Go Eagles, Green Nation. Today is a day to celebrate because the Philadelphia Eagles once again showed their strength and came out with a huge victory over the Los Angeles Rams. It was grit, it was fight, it was heart on that field. Exactly what this fan base deserves. Here, we don't just watch the game, we live every single play. So hit that like button to keep our voice strong and drop a comment below. What was the moment that made you cheer the loudest in this win? This is the Eagles family. This is the energy that takes us further. Fly, Eagles, fly. Now let's get to the meat of this story. This game had it all: frustration, doubt, chaos, resilience, and ultimately, triumph. The first half was brutal for Philadelphia. Lane Johnson went down early, and the offense completely collapsed without him. With Matt Pryor filling in, the Eagles' attack looked lost. -1 passing yard by halftime, only 33 total yards, and a playbook so predictable and lifeless that fans were calling for Kevin Patullo's job before the second quarter was over. It was one of the ugliest offensive halves you could imagine, and with the Rams' #1 ranked defense feasting, it looked like the Birds were about to take their first loss of the season. The Rams' offense was balanced and lethal, with Matthew Stafford spreading the ball around to weapons like Puka Nacua and Davante Adams, while Kyren Williams punished Philly on the ground. At halftime, the Eagles trailed 19-7, and when the Rams stretched that lead to 26-7 early in the third, fans across the country probably thought it was over. But here's the thing. This team doesn't quit. This roster is built with championship DNA, and Jalen Hurts made sure everyone remembered it. Hurts showed why he belongs in MVP conversations. He went 21 of 32 for 226 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, plus another rushing touchdown on the signature tush push to open the game. And here's the kicker. All 3 of his passing scores came in the second half. That's when he flipped the switch. From hitting A.J. Brown for a 38-yard bomb to connecting with Dallas Goedert on a 33-yard strike, Hurts took command of the offense with poise and aggression. A.J. Brown, who was clearly frustrated in the first half, exploded after halftime with 6 catches for 109 yards and a touchdown, reminding everyone that when you feed him the ball, this offense is dangerous. The turnaround wasn't just about Hurts in the passing game. Saquon Barkley found rhythm in the ground attack, Vic Fangio's defense tightened up, and the Eagles' young stars stepped up big time. Jordan Davis made multiple huge stops, including tracking down Matthew Stafford on a critical third down, while Jalen Carter played with fire, even drawing a taunting penalty that nearly cost the team field position. But it didn't matter in the end because the resilience of this squad carried them through. And how about the execution in clutch situations? A 17-play, 91-yard drive capped off with Hurts finding DeVonta Smith for a go-ahead score. Third downs, fourth downs. When they had to have it, they delivered.
That's what separates contenders from pretenders. Even when the Rams got into position to win, it was the Eagles' willpower, toughness, and Jordan Davis's massive play that sealed an unforgettable victory. This wasn't just a win. This was a statement. The Eagles beat the Cowboys in Week 1, took down the Chiefs in Week 2, and now toppled a Rams team that many were calling the best in the NFC. This isn't luck. It's a message to the entire league. The Philadelphia Eagles are still the team to beat. Let's pick it right back up because this game deserves every ounce of attention. The Eagles didn't just win. They redefined what resilience looks like in the NFL. Down 26-7, most teams would have folded, but this locker room is built differently. You could feel it in the way Jalen Hurts refused to let his guys lose focus. He was on the sideline, animated, over-communicating with his coaches, pushing Kevin Patullo and Nick Sirianni to open up the playbook, challenging his teammates to execute. That energy bled through the roster, and when Hurts flipped the switch, the entire team followed. One of the most pivotal sequences came in the third quarter. Hurts finds A.J. Brown for 38 yards, a play that reignited hope and got the offense into rhythm. Then Dallas Goedert, who had been quiet early on, comes alive with a 33-yard touchdown grab. Suddenly the Rams' defense, which had looked untouchable in the first half, was backpedaling. The Eagles weren't just moving the chains, they were dictating tempo, flipping momentum, and taking the fight directly to Los Angeles. A.J. Brown's performance deserves extra spotlight. 6 catches, 109 yards, 1 touchdown, and an emotional response that showed how much he cares. He was visibly frustrated before halftime, but leaders respond when it counts. When Hurts targeted him in the second half, Brown became unstoppable, winning contested catches and forcing the Rams' defense to adjust. That opened opportunities for DeVonta Smith, who ended up with the game-winning catch on a precise out route. Hurts to Smith on third and goal from the 4-yard line. That's a play fans are going to remember all season long. Defensively, Vic Fangio's unit deserves massive credit. They were on the field for long stretches early on because the offense couldn't sustain drives, but they didn't break. The defensive line wore down the Rams' offensive front as the game went on. Jordan Davis was a force of nature, not only with the blocked field goal to win it, but with key stops throughout the second half. Jalen Carter, despite his costly taunting penalty, was disruptive and showed why he's such a cornerstone of this defense. And in those critical moments, when Sean McVay tried to put the game away with aggressive fourth down calls, the Eagles' front seven stood tall. That's championship caliber defense. And how poetic was the ending? A game that had tested every ounce of patience, nerves, and loyalty from Eagles fans concluded with a big man touchdown. Jordan Davis blocking a field goal, picking up the loose ball, and rumbling into the end zone is the type of finish that will be replayed in highlight reels for years. You could see it on the players' faces, the disbelief, the relief, the pride. This was more than just another regular season game. It was a reminder that the Eagles can take a punch, stumble, and still rise up swinging harder than anyone else. Fans in the chat after the game echoed that same feeling. Some said they passed their weekly cardiac stress test. Others admitted they couldn't even watch because the tension was too much. And then there were those who simply shouted what we're all thinking: pay Jordan Davis now. Because in a season where contracts and futures are always in the conversation, Davis has shown he's worth every penny. When you zoom out, think about what the Eagles have done through 3 weeks. They've beaten the Cowboys, Chiefs, and Rams, 3 teams that could all be playoff contenders. They've done it in different ways: gritty defense, explosive offense, and now a wild special teams finish. That balance, that adaptability, that refusal to back down, it's what championship teams are made of. So the question now becomes, where does this team go from here? Can the Eagles keep this momentum alive and prove that this isn't just about surviving, but about dominating their way back to another Super Bowl? I want to hear from you. Do you believe this Philadelphia Eagles squad has what it takes to stay on top of the NFC and make another run to the big game? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that subscribe button, and keep riding with us because the season is just getting started and the birds are flying high. Go Eagles! And here's the thing, when you look deeper into this win, it wasn't just about the blocked field goal or the highlight plays. It was about the culture that Nick Sirianni has built inside this locker room. Championship culture doesn't just appear, it's forged in games exactly like this one. When you're down by 19 points on the road against one of the toughest defenses in football, you find out who really wants it, and the Eagles wanted it more. You could see it in the grit of the offensive line once Fred Johnson came in at right tackle. He wasn't perfect, but he steadied the unit after the Lane Johnson injury, and that allowed Hurts and the offense to finally find their rhythm. Those kinds of adjustments don't get the headlines, but they win games in this league. What also stood out was the adaptability of the coaching staff. The first half was a nightmare. Predictable play calling, no creativity, stale concepts. But instead of folding, they regrouped at halftime. Hurts had a bigger voice in the second half strategy, and it showed. He was given the freedom to take shots downfield, to press the Rams secondary, and to trust his receivers to make plays. That's when the game flipped. The Eagles went from vanilla to explosive, and Los Angeles couldn't respond. Let's not overlook Saquon Barkley either. His numbers weren't overwhelming, but his impact was undeniable. In the second half, when the Eagles needed balance, Barkley's runs kept the defense honest. Every yard mattered. That allowed Hurts to open up the passing game, and once A.J. Brown got rolling, the Rams were scrambling. This is what complementary football looks like: offense feeding off defense, defense feeding off offense, and special teams sealing the deal. And I want to circle back to Hurts, because his performance can't be overstated. In that third quarter alone, he went 10 of 12 for 131 yards and 2 touchdowns. Those aren't just numbers, those are championship stats in the face of adversity. What makes him special isn't just the arm talent or the athleticism, it's the calm under pressure. Fans call him a flatliner because he never looks rattled, never looks panicked, even when the scoreboard says it's over. That mentality is contagious. You could see the sidelines start to believe again, drive after drive, and it all stemmed from Hurts refusing to blink. And then there's the DeVonta Smith touchdown. 3rd and goal, game on the line, the defense crowding the red zone. Hurts takes the snap, reads the coverage, delivers a pinpoint ball to Smith on the out route. That's precision, timing, and trust. That's the chemistry this offense has built over years of working together. And it came in the biggest moment of the game. Now, of course, the cherry on top was Jordan Davis. Blocking the field goal is one thing, but scooping it up and scoring as the clock hits 0 is something entirely different. That's history. That's the kind of moment that fans will talk about years from now, the way people still talk about the miracle at the Meadowlands or 4th and 26. This game joins that lore. Davis didn't just win the game, he cemented himself as one of the breakout stars of the season, and maybe even the defensive MVP for this team so far. The fans know it too. The post-game reactions were filled with raw emotion, laughter, relief, disbelief. Some said they were eating their words, others admitted they nearly passed out from stress, and many just screamed for Davis to be paid right now. That's what happens when a game transcends the ordinary. It doesn't just give you a win in the standings, it unites the fan base, energizes the locker room, and puts the entire league on notice. So here's where we stand. The Eagles are 3-0, with wins over the Cowboys, Chiefs, and Rams. Each one of those victories has been unique, each one showing a different side of this team. That's what makes them so dangerous. They can win ugly, they can win in a shootout, and now we've seen they can pull off the miraculous. The season is long, and no doubt challenges are still ahead. But after a game like this, it's impossible not to wonder, are we witnessing the rise of another championship run? Are these the moments that shape a Super Bowl team? If you believe the Eagles are built for greatness, let me know in the comments right now. Hit that like button, smash subscribe so you don't miss any updates, and keep an eye on the channel. We've got more breakdowns, more analysis, and more passion coming your way. This isn't just football, this is Philadelphia football. Go Birds!